Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial by HG Production. In this tutorial I want to teach you how to morph, real morph, okay? You can see I uploaded this movie just before, and this is a 3D morphing, and you can see that we have here a real knife. It gets transformed to a fork. So easy. So once again we have a knife that gets transformed to the knife, to the fork. So how I did this, this is what I want to explain in this tutorial to you. It is a long tutorial, 2 or 3 part will it be. This is the first part that I want to teach you right now. This tutorial is an advanced tutorial. We have to do with a little bit with scripting and with particle. And if you ask me where I was all these days, I was busy with Houdini. It is a very great program, very powerful, and I love it very much. But if you ask me, nothing is better than 3D Studio Max. So that was the fun. Okay, let's jump to 3D Studio Max and begin it. But before I begin it, I have here a folder, morph teaching, and I will upload all these folders so you can have access to it, so you can follow me step by step, because there is a lot of script and other stuff that you have to write, and if you want to do all this stuff from scratch, it will get too long, these tutorials. So what I want to do instead is to prepare some scenes and some code so I can explain and teach based on these codes. You have access to these codes and these scripts, and you can see them with my explanation, and you will understand it. Don't worry, you will understand everything if you really follow me all along the tutorial. Okay, but the result is very amazing. The result is very amazing, and the thing is that not just morphing. If you follow me in this tutorial, you will learn a lot of stuff about scripting, some useful stuff. So the first thing that I want to begin with is, if you want to morph two objects into each other, the old way was that we had two objects and we had some emitter particles, and the particles were sticked on the first object, and then they flow and came to the next object. The morph was not the object itself. The object itself was not the subject that was morphing to it. There was the particles that were between them. Okay, but what we want to try to do in this tutorial, we want to really morph a 3D object with all the faces to another object with all these faces here. Okay, so for this, the first step that I want to concentrate in the first part of these tutorials is how to detach all my faces. Okay, right now I have an object here and I want to detach all these faces. Okay, and I create one object for each face. So one easy way is just to convert it to editable mesh. Okay, and go to polygon, select all the faces, and go to explode, make it 0 and explode it, and you have it. Okay, but the problem is, this is okay and this is good, and we want to do some stuff more than just a simple explode. So we begin all this stuff with code, with scripting, and very soon you will see that we have a lot more of control. For this, I go to open script, and I go to the step 1. I open detach faces script, and this is the first script that we have here right now, detach faces script. With the get num faces, I get the number of faces of the object that name is current object, and I put the number to num face. This is a variable, and I create a loop for I equal to 1 to number of faces. So this loop will go through all the faces, and what I want to do here, I want to detach each face to a single object, and I do this with the detach face. Detach face is an function from poly operation, and if you just copy the name and go to the help and just select here editable poly Control F, detach faces, you will see that we have here method detach face. The first thing that it will this function requires is the face list. So we have here the face list. The face list is the I. Right now this is the I. Each time that it come to the list loop, the I will be another face. I will be 1 or 2 or 3. So each time that is come to this loop, we will have another face here. The next one is the delete parameters. These are optional parameters. It can be true or false, but what it means, if delete is true, the faces are deleted after being detached. So I don't want to have it, so I put it to false. And the next parameter is as node boolean. Okay, if as node is true, the faces are detached as a separate node. So I want them to be separate nodes. So I make it true, and the name is the next one, is the string that can be the name, and I say frag object. Okay, just a fragment. These are optional parameters. I can, for example, I don't do have anything with the last one, so I don't write it here. Okay, so with this, and after I do this, our original object will be untouched, so it will be just hide. Okay, so just let me apply this code, but be careful. For first you have to convert it to editable poly, and you have to name it current object, just like you, whatever name you have here. And I run the script, the first one. Okay, right now all the faces are detached, but we came to the next problem. The next problem is, so right now that I detached all these faces, I want to bring the pivot to the center of this face. So you can once again say, okay, I can select all these faces and go to affect pivot only, center to object. So, and I have this, and I can go here after that, max script, reset transform, and convert it to editable poly. But for some reason you will learn that this is the wrong way, because what I want to have the pivot of this face will be aligned to the normal of the face. So how to get this? This is something very useful that I want to teach you right now. Okay, for this I create another geosphere. I name it once again current object. I convert it all to editable poly and name it current object. But this time I want to open, max script. This time I want to open the next code that I have here. I just pivot without resetting. Okay, and if I come here, you see that is the same code here that we had, detach all faces. It is here. After detaching the faces, what I want to do, I want to reset all the I want to align all the pivots to the face normal. So I will do this here. I get all the objects that the name begin with frag object. I have it from here. I put them in an array. I name it object array. It's like a buffer. and I get the count of my buffer, its number of objects, so I know how many objects I have, and I go through in a loop from I equal to 1 to number of objects. I get the current object like this from my array here. I put it here. I get the face normal from my object, my current object, and because each object has just one face in this case, so we get the first face of this object and get the face normal, so we know the normal of the face. And after that we create a word up vector. We do cross product from word up vector and face normal and normalize it to the right vector, and we cross product the right vector and the face normal and normalize it and put it to the up vector. And after that we create a matrix, and this matrix just contains the information of our rotation. And if you ask me how I get this crazy code, you can just refer to Mac's script reference, and where have I this? Okay, just easily just tricks. Right now here there is a page here. How do I align the UVW modifier gizmo to the selected face? Right now here you can see that we have one face, we have just one face, and we have the normal. Okay, and we want to have the we want to transform the pivot based to this normal. The first thing that we want to do, we create an up vector 0, 0, 1. This is the yellow one, this is the up vector. And after we have our up vector and our normal, with the cross product from the up vector and the normal face, we get the right vector, which is the red one. And after that, with the cross product from the right vector, which is this red one, and the face normal, which is this blue one, we get the up vector, which is this green one. And after that, we create a matrix based on right vector, up vector, and the face normal. And we right now here in this matrix we have the information of the local rotation of our face. So we use this code here and until here, but this is just the information for the rotation. I want to also bring the pivot to the center of the face. So for this I excuse me, with poly operation get face center. With this function I get the center of my current object's face, which is the first face, and I put this position, this vector, to variables named tempos, and I pass these tempos to my current object at pivot. So until now I have my position of my object. The position is right now aligned. Right now I should just align the rotation of my pivot. How I do this, in the matrix we have a component named rotation part. So I need just a rotation part for the matrix. So because I have right now the transform applied, I just want to apply the rotation part. I create here a rotate pivot only. This is a function, and this function you should pass an object and a rotation, and then it will rotate just the pivot of this object for you based on the rotation that you pass it. I pass my object, which will be my current object, and my rotation, and it will be rotated based on this rotation that I have. So if you ask me how I get this crazy code, just copy this and go once again here, and you can see that you can find everything in this reference. And there is a function here that defines function for rotating only the pivot. It's a little bit complicated, but if you want me to explain it, we have something object offset rotation and object offset position, which are responsible for rotating our pivot. First, we get the rotation, we inverse it, and in the local coordinate system, we apply it to our rotation object, and after that, we apply it to offset of our rotation and to our position. This code is a little bit complicated, but if you want to follow this, if you want to work with it, just copy it and paste it and it will work for you. So, but what will happen if I apply this code to my object? Right now, this is my object. Run the script, the second step. And wait, just let me delete all the stuff here. Geosphere, I name it I name it where is it? Current object. I name it current object, convert it to editable poly, and run the second script. And you can see that right now all my faces, the pivot are aligned based when I go to local, based on the normal of the face. But the problem is this, that when I go here and reset my pivot, it came back to here. So how to solve this problem? I can go here and select X, reset X form, reset it, and if I come here, you can see that we have a reset X form. And after that, if I select convert to a poly, or right click here and say collapse all, I get this, okay? And if I go here right now, reset, but I lose my pivot that was here. So right now I am on local and the Z is upward. It's wrong. So how to solve this problem? So well, there is a way. If you have your current data here and you save this data that you have for your position and your rotation, okay, remember it somehow and reset it, the position and the rotation. And after you did this, you go right now here and reset it, and right now you see it's here, but I want to reset it. I collapse it all. So right now it's resetted, but because it was in the 0, 0, 0 without no rotation, all the information is still there. So if I apply once again the rotation that I had before and the position that I had also before, I can hold the information that I had before. So, but this is a long way and I cannot do it with hand, of course. Let me go to the step 3 or step 2. But what will happen if I don't reset it and try to apply it to a particle system? You can see here that I have select all. I have right now all my faces here, and I want to apply to these faces. The transform are not, the pivot are not reset. Okay, if I try right now to apply it to my particle, this will be resolved. If I go to my particle and say I don't want to see them as geometry, I want to see them as circle, you will see that they are all aligned based on the center of the faces. But because the pivots are not resetted, if I apply my geometry, you can see that you have some offset. How to solve this problem? But before solving this problem, let me just explain to you what I have here for this particle, because it's necessary. I have just a particle view and just one thing, one script, build script, okay? And in this build script, what I have here, we have one function for on channel use, one function here, 3 and 4. There are 4 functions. The first function, you have to say which channels of the particles you want to use. I want to use the age, transform, and the shape. In the second function, you have to say this code will apply just one in the first time that this particle is initialized. So here I want to select all the objects that its name begin with first object. If you can see here, if I select this object, all the objects names begins with first object underscore, for example 64, first object underscore 290. Okay, so all the objects that its name begins with first object, I put them as array, and I put them in a variable, it's a global variable, and name it first fragment. Okay, I create another global variable, and I get the count of my object, and I put it in my max p count, particle counter. Okay, and here this is the main function that we have to deal with here. With the particle container that get time start as a float, I get the timing of the of my time slider, and if it's less than 0, if it's the begin, okay, what should we do here? P container add particles, so create particles, because right now I should say that you should create some particles. How many particles do I want to have? Max particle count here. For example, if I have here 100 phase, I want to have 100 particles here. So create that much particle for me. And after you created this, I create a loop, go through each particle and apply its transform and mesh. How I can do this? Well, for I equal to 1, 2 max p count do. What should I do? First, you should say with which particle you have to deal with. I want to have to deal with the I particle. It means the I. Each time that we come into this loop, it will be another particle, the first, the second, the third, and so on, so on. So the particle that is right now in this loop, okay, make the edge of this particle to 0, and go to this buffer that I have, to this array that I have, and choose the first object that I have here, get the transform of this object and put it to my particle transform. Okay, and after that apply my, go to this buffer once again, get the mesh from the first one or the second one, or the which is in the queue, and put it here as the shape. So the particle shape will be the shape of my mesh, and the particle transform will be the transform of my object. But what will happen? It seems that everything is correctly, but because my object is not resetted, it cannot get solved. So because the pivot of my objects are not resetted, because if I hide this and select all my particles and select reset pivot, right now you can see that all the pivots are right now in the middle. Okay, that's the wrong way. So how to deal with this problem, how to fix it? So right now we go to the third step, build with resetting pivot. So let's see what we have here. Wow, what we have here right now, there are some particles. That's the same code that I explained right now, but it worked correctly. Why it is working correctly? And hide all, hide selected. This is my object, and these are resetted. For example, you can see if I select reset, it's stay in the same position. How I did this? So I go to Max script and open script, and in the third step I have adjust pivot with resetting. So I explained this at first to you. This was the second one, and this is the last one. So first I detach all the faces. After I detach all the faces, I rotate all the faces based on the normal of the face with helping of this function rotate pivot only. That is until now what we did, what we learned. And this is the resetting transform. How I do this, I create a loop, I go through all the objects and I put the current object in my current object here. This is my RI and I put it here, and I save my position, rotation and scale in 3 separate variables, the way that I explained earlier to you. Okay, after I save these 3 stuff separately, my position, my rotation and my scale, after this I bring my object to the 0 0 position, to the origin. Okay, the rotation part, the position part and the scale part. Okay, when I am sure that it's in the center without rotating and anything, I do my reset transform, the same that I did here with resetting here. I do this in my code, and after that I collapse it the way that I right click and say convert to poly, or I went here and say this is a match. The way that I get here, and right now I shoot, for example, the way that I came here and said collapse out. Okay, after I did these two, bring it back to its original form. After I did this, I resetted it. I have right now my 3 position, rotation and scale. I put it back to my object. You see, current rot, current pose and current scale. And after I did all these 3, I rename it to object fragment. So with this code, that was why I told you we want to do it with a simple convert to mesh and go it here to polygon, select all the faces and explode it, because we don't just want to explode it. We want to do it. We want to do a lot more than a simple explosion. Okay, we want to detach all the faces. We want to adjust the pivot of each object based on the normal of the face, and we want to reset it all by code. So this was the first part of this tutorial. I hope that you are not bored, and I hope that I could explain it to you in the easy way. You have all the code by yourself. You can check them and you can try to write them by yourself. It's not as complicated as you can see it here. It's very easy to work with and it's very useful. So this was the first step. You will say this was a tutorial about morphing, but until now you spoke more than 30 minutes about some crazy script about detaching objects. Well, that was necessary because in the next part, right now after we detached all our faces, we want to transform an object to another. Okay, this was very necessary. I try to teach you in the next part how to transform the object, how to morph one object to another object. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you learned something. If you have any question about this, okay, feel free to ask me. And if you have also any idea that you want to create or something that you want to learn, feel free to contact me and ask me. I will be very happy about this. And if you like all this stuff, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, thank you very much for joining me, and wish you a nice day.